The old woman's hand trembled as she pressed the folded note into Vincent Marconi's palm. 80 years old, hunched over her cane, she looked like someone's grandmother, not someone with information that could start a war. Vincent was halfway through his espresso at Dante's when she appeared beside his table. His security hadn't even noticed her. Too old, too harmless, too invisible. She leaned close, voice barely a whisper. "Your right-hand man, the one you trust most. He's been meeting with the Russians." Tonight, Pier 7, midnight. Vincent's hand froze halfway to his cup. He didn't look at her, didn't move, just sat there perfectly still while his mind calculated possibilities. The old woman shuffled away before his men could react, disappeared into the lunch crowd like smoke. Vincent finally looked down at the note. 6 words in shaky handwriting: Carlo, Russians, midnight, Pier 7, proof, Carlo Benedetti. His second in command for 15 years. His brother in everything but blood. Either this old woman was senile, mistaken, or Vincent Marconi had 12 hours until his empire crumbled. Vincent remained frozen for exactly 30 seconds, not thinking, calculating. Around him, Dante's hummed with normal lunch service, businessmen, tourists, regular people having regular days. None of them knew that in 12 hours someone Vincent trusted might be dead, or Vincent might. His driver, Big Angelo, approached the table. "Boss, you okay? That old lady say something to you?" Vincent folded the note carefully, slipped it into his jacket pocket. "Who is she?" "No idea." "Never seen her before. Want me to find her?" Vincent shook his head, stood, left cash on the table. "Get the car, we're going to the warehouse." The warehouse was Vincent's real office, not the restaurant, not his home. The place where actual business happened, shipments tracked, money counted, problems solved. He'd built his organization over 40 years through intelligence and restraint. Never the loudest, never the flashiest, just the most careful. And being careful meant never ignoring warnings. Even from old women who appeared from nowhere. The drive took 20 minutes. Vincent spent it watching the city blur past, running through 15 years of memories with Carlo. They'd started together, young men with more ambition than sense. Built this empire from street corners to legitimate businesses. Carlo had saved Vincent's life twice. Once in '09 during the Rossi War. Once in '14 when that wannabe crew tried a hit outside Vincent's daughter's wedding. Loyalty like that doesn't fake itself. Can't be manufactured. Either Carlo was the most faithful man Vincent knew, or he was the most patient traitor in organized crime history. Both possibilities were terrifying. At the warehouse, Vincent's crew was waiting. 6 men, all loyal, all dangerous, all watching their boss with the careful attention of people who understood that something had shifted. Vincent gathered them in his private office, closed the door, soundproofed walls, no windows. The only safe place to speak freely. "Carlo's not here," Vincent's consigliere Paolo noted. "Called in sick this morning, first time in 3 years." Vincent pulled out the note, placed it on the desk, let them read it. Paolo's face went carefully blank. The others shifted, uncomfortable, uncertain. "Could be bullshit," Tommy Rixai said, Vincent's head of security, built like a truck, loyal as a dog. "Someone trying to turn us against each other." "Could be," Vincent agreed. "Or it could be true." "Carlo?" Paolo's voice carried disbelief. "Boss, Carlo's been with you since the beginning. He's family." "Family betrays," Vincent said quietly. "Blood betrays. Anyone can betray if the price is right." He stood, walked to the window overlooking the warehouse floor below, workers moving shipments, regular, legitimate business. "Here's what we know. Carlo called in sick for the first time ever. An old woman nobody's seen before delivers a warning with specific details. Time. Location, Russians." He turned back to face them. "The Russians have been pushing into our territory for 6 months. Small moves, testing boundaries. We've been pushing back. But if they had someone inside feeding them information..." The implications hung heavy in the air. "We need proof," Paolo said. "Can't move on Carlo without proof. He's earned that much." Vincent nodded. "Pier 7, midnight, we go. We watch, and if Carlo shows up..." He didn't finish the sentence. Didn't need to. They all understood what happened to traitors. The afternoon crawled past. Vincent tried to work, couldn't focus. His mind kept returning to Carlo, memories, conversations, searching for signs he'd missed, red flags he'd ignored. At 7 p.m., Vincent went home. A mistake, probably. But he needed to see his granddaughter, 9-year-old Sophia, his daughter's kid, the one pure thing in his complicated life. She was staying with him this week while her parents vacationed in Europe. "Nana," she ran to him when he entered, threw her arms around his waist, still young enough to be thrilled when he came home. He knelt down to her eye level. "How was school, Piccola?" "Good. We learned about ancient Rome." "Did you know they had gladiators who fought lions?" "I did know that." "Mrs. Terr said my great-great-grandfather came from Rome. Is that true?" Vincent smiled. "Sicily, actually, close enough." Sophia studied his face with those sharp eyes, too smart for 9 years old. "Are you sad about something?" "No, little one, just tired." "You look sad." She touched his cheek gently. "When Mama's sad, I make her tea. Want me to make you tea?" Vincent felt something crack in his chest. This child, this innocent, perfect child who still believed tea could fix sadness, who didn't know her grandfather was possibly hours away from executing someone who might be family. "Tea sounds perfect," he said. They sat in his kitchen while Sophia carefully prepared chamomile tea, stirred in honey. Added exactly 3 ice cubes because she knew he didn't like drinks too hot. She talked about school, about her friends, about the new book she was reading. Normal things, good things, things that had nothing to do with midnight meetings at empty piers. Vincent's phone buzzed, text from Paulo. Carlo just left his house, heading south toward the docks. Vincent's hand tightened on his teacup. Sophia noticed. "You have to go to work soon," he said. "But not yet. Tell me more about your book." She lit up, started explaining the plot with animated gestures. Vincent listened, absorbed every word, memorized her face. The way her eyes sparkled when she was excited, the gap in her smile from a recently lost tooth. Because in a few hours he might have to do something that would change him, make him harder, colder, less deserving of this child's love. At 10:30, his daughter called to check in. Vincent assured her Sophia was fine, promised to put her to bed soon, lied about where he'd be at midnight. After he tucked Sophia in, Vincent stood in her doorway watching her sleep, peaceful, safe. This was why he'd built his empire, to protect family, to create security in an uncertain world. But if Carlo had betrayed him, if someone that close could turn, then nowhere was truly safe. Vincent left his house at 11, met his crew 3 blocks from Pier 7. They parked in darkness, cut the engines, waited. The docks were quiet, just water lapping against pylons, ships creaking in their berths, industrial silence. At 11:40, headlights appeared, a black sedan, Russian plates. 3 men got out. Vincent recognized them through his binoculars. Alexei Volkov's crew. The Volkovs had been pushing hard lately, testing boundaries, making moves on Vincent's territory. Vincent had pushed back, firmly but carefully, trying to avoid war. But if the Volkovs had Carlo feeding them information, then war was already here. The Russians waited, smoking cigarettes, checking their phones, patient. At 11:55, another car appeared. Vincent's chest tightened. He knew that car, knew the driver. Carlo stepped out, alone, unarmed from what Vincent could see. Walked toward the Russians like he belonged there. Vincent's finger tightened on his binoculars. Tommy shifted beside him. "Boss, I'm seeing this, but I'm not believing it." Paulo said nothing, just stared, face carved from stone. Carlo and the Russians talked, too far away to hear, but body language told the story, familiar, comfortable. This wasn't a first meeting, this was routine. One of the Russians handed Carlo an envelope. Carlo checked inside, nodded, handed over a folder. Documents. Information, proof. Vincent lowered his binoculars, felt something cold and final settle in his stomach. 15 years of loyalty, brotherhood, trust, all of it a lie. Or maybe it had been real once and stopped being real. Either way, the result was the same. Carlo Benedetti had to die. "Boss," Paulo said quietly. "What do you want to do?" Vincent watched Carlo shake hands with the Russians, watched him get back in his car, watched him drive away like he hadn't just sold out everything they'd built together. "Follow him," Vincent said. "But don't move yet, I want to know why first." They followed Carlo through empty streets. He didn't go home, didn't go to his usual haunts. Instead, he drove to a residential neighborhood Vincent didn't recognize, parked outside a modest house. Lights on inside. Carlo sat in his car for 5 minutes, then got out, used a key to enter. Through the front window, Vincent saw Carlo embrace someone, A woman, dark hair, pretty, and beside her a little boy, maybe 7 years old. The boy jumped into Carlo's arms, hugged him tight. Carlo spun him around, laughing. The family scene looked genuine, warm, real. "Who are they?" Tommy asked. Paulo was already on his phone, running searches. "Give me a minute." Vincent watched Carlo with this secret family. Watched the boy show Carlo something. A drawing, maybe. Watched Carlo kneel down to the kid's eye level. Same way Vincent had knelt for Sofia earlier. "Found them," Paulo said. "Woman's name is Elena Petrov. Widow. Her husband was Dmitry Petrov." Vincent's blood froze. He knew that name. "Dmitry Petrov worked for the Volkovs," Paulo continued. "Killed 18 months ago in a hit, our hit. We were going after Alexei Volkov. Dmitry got in the way." The pieces clicked together. Carlo had been on that operation, had pulled the trigger, had killed Dmitry Petrov in that chaotic firefight. And apparently he'd spent the last 18 months trying to make it right, protecting the widow, the son. Vincent understood then, not betrayal for money, not betrayal for power, betrayal for guilt, for conscience, for a 7-year-old boy whose father Carlo had killed. "He's been feeding them information to protect the family," Paulo said. "Probably threatened to expose Elena and the kid if Carlo didn't cooperate." Vincent sat back, closed his eyes. This was worse than simple betrayal. Because he understood it, would probably have done the same thing in Carlo's position, but understanding didn't change the reality. Carlo had compromised their organization, put everyone at risk. Killed men might die because of information Carlo had shared. The Volkovs were using him, and once they'd extracted everything useful, they'd kill him anyway. Kill Elena and the boy too, probably. Loose ends. Vincent opened his eyes. "Bring him to the warehouse, quietly. I'll deal with the rest." At 2 a.m., Carlo sat in Vincent's office, hands zip-tied, face calm, resigned. He'd known this was coming, probably known for months. Vincent studied the man who'd been his brother for 15 years. "Old woman," Vincent said. "Who was she?" Carlo almost smiled. "Elena's grandmother. She figured out what I was doing, decided you should know, thought maybe you'd kill me quickly instead of letting the Russians do it slowly. Smart woman, the smartest I've ever met." Vincent poured 2 glasses of whiskey, placed one in front of Carlo. 18 months. You've been playing both sides for 18 months. "I killed her husband," Carlo said simply. "Dmitry Petrov, good man, wrong place, wrong time. I see his face every night, see his kid crying at the funeral. So you decided to atone by destroying everything we've built. I decided to keep his family alive." Carlo's voice was steady. "The Volkovs found out about them, threatened to kill them if I didn't cooperate. I made a choice. Wrong choice. Maybe, but it's the choice I made, and I'd make it again." Vincent drank his whiskey, let the burn ground him. "You know what happens now." "I know. You betrayed the family." "There's only one consequence for that." Carlo nodded. "I'm ready, but I need you to promise something first." Vincent waited. "Elena and the boy, they're innocent in this, the grandmother too. When I'm dead, the Volkovs have no reason to protect them. They'll clean up loose ends." Carlo's eyes locked onto Vincent's. "Please, they're good people. The kid's name is Nikolai. Nico. He's 7, loves soccer, wants to be a teacher. He didn't ask for any of this." Vincent said nothing. "No, I don't have the right to ask," Carlo continued. "I know I betrayed you, but I'm asking anyway, not for me, for them. Please." Vincent set down his glass. "The Volkovs know about your family. That was the leverage." "Yes, which means they know where they live. Know the grandmother warned me. They're probably planning to move on them tonight." "Today," Carlo corrected. "It's past midnight. They'll want to tie up loose ends before you figure everything out." Vincent stood, walked to his office window. Watched the warehouse floor below. Men working, business continuing, all of it built on loyalty, trust, codes that meant something. Carlo had broken those codes, but the reason mattered, intent mattered, and a 7-year-old boy who wanted to be a teacher mattered. Vincent turned back. "If I protect them, I'm protecting the people you betrayed me for. You understand that?" "I do. If I let them die, I punish you worse than any bullet could. You'd spend your last minutes knowing you failed them." "Yes." "So why would I help them?" Carlo's face was steady. No pleading, no begging, just quiet acceptance. "Because you're Vincent Marconi, because you have a granddaughter who loves you, because you understand that kids don't choose their father's mistakes, because you're a better man than I am." Vincent's jaw tightened. "I'm not a good man, Carlo. Don't confuse restraint with goodness." "No, but you're not a monster either. and I'm asking the part of you that isn't a monster to help them." Vincent stared at the man who'd been his brother, seeing him clearly for the first time in months, exhausted, guilty, desperate, not a traitor for greed, a traitor for conscience, which was somehow worse and better simultaneously. "Paulo," Vincent called. His consigliere entered. "Get a team together, 8 men, best we have. We're going to extract Alina Petrov, her son, and her grandmother, bring them here, safe." Paulo's eyes widened. "Boss, the Volkovs are moving on them tonight. We get there first." "But Carlo made his choices, but the family didn't. We protect them, that's the code." Paulo nodded slowly, understanding, "And after we deal with the Volkovs permanently." Vincent looked at Carlo. "You gave them information for 18 months. You're going to give me something too. Everything, every location, every operation, every piece of intelligence you shared. I want to know exactly what they know." Carlo's shoulders slumped with relief. "Thank you." "Don't thank me yet. You're still a dead man, but at least you'll die knowing the family's safe." Vincent paused, and dying quickly instead of whatever the Volkovs had planned. They moved fast. Vincent's team hit the Petrov house at 2:30 a.m., found Alina packing frantically. She'd seen suspicious cars circling, knew something was wrong. Her grandmother, the old woman from the restaurant, was already dressed, bag packed, like she'd been expecting this. "You're Marconi," Alina said when they burst in. Not a question, a statement. "Yes." "Carlo, alive for now. We don't have time. The Volkovs are coming. You can trust me or wait for them. Choose." Nikolai appeared in pajamas covered in soccer balls, eyes wide, scared but trying to be brave. "Mama, who are these men?" Alina knelt down to his eye level. "Remember the important man Carlo works for. He's here to keep us safe." "The scary one?" Nico asked. Vincent almost smiled. "Yes, the scary one, but I'm only scary to people who deserve it. You don't come on." They evacuated the family in 4 minutes, put them in armored SUVs, left 2 men to watch the house. 5 minutes after they cleared the block, 3 Russian vehicles pulled up. Vincent watched through binoculars from half a mile away, saw the Russians breach the empty house, saw them realize they were too late, saw them set fire to the place anyway, sending a message. The family watched their home burn from the safety of Vincent's vehicles. Nico cried quietly. His grandmother held him. Alina stared straight ahead, shock, trauma, the realization that her life had just ended and restarted in the span of minutes. At the warehouse, Vincent put them in a secure room, comfortable, safe, locked from the outside. He posted guards, brought food, blankets, everything they'd need. Then he returned to his office where Carlo waited. "They're safe," Vincent said. "The house, gone. The Volkovs burned it, but Alina, Nico, and the grandmother are here, unharmed." Carlo's eyes closed. "Thank you. Now you talk, everything, start from the beginning." Carlo talked for 2 hours. Vincent recorded every word. By the time dawn broke, Vincent had a complete map of Volkov operations, locations, personnel, schedules, weaknesses, everything Carlo had learned while feeding them information. "They're planning a major move," Carlo finished. "Next week, they want to take over your distribution network, kill you, install me as a puppet boss, control everything through me. But you're here, so that plan's dead." "Along with me," Carlo said. "I know the rules, Vincent. I betrayed the family. There's only one way this ends." Vincent stood, looked at this man who'd saved his life twice, who'd been his brother, who'd made a terrible choice for an understandable reason. "You're right," Vincent said. "There is only one way this ends." Carlo nodded, closed his eyes, waiting. Vincent pulled his gun. "But not today. Today you help me destroy the Volkovs. After that we'll discuss your future." Carlo's eyes opened. "What? You gave me everything I need to end them. Tonight we hit every Volkov operation simultaneously. Burn it all down, and you're going to help plan it. Because nobody knows their setup better than you." "Vincent, I betrayed you. I should be dead." "Yes, you should, but I need you alive more than I need you dead. And after we end the Volkovs, after Alina and Nico are truly safe, then we'll revisit your punishment." Vincent holstered his gun. "Until then, you work for me again. But this time, no lies, no secrets, no side deals. You're mine until I say otherwise." Carlo stared. "Why?" "Because that 7-year-old boy deserves better than watching another father figure disappear. Because Alina's lost enough. Because that old woman had the guts to warn me when she could have stayed silent. Because I'm tired of this city eating good people." Vincent leaned forward. "You made a mistake. A big one, but your heart was in the right place. That counts for something. The plan came together over the next 12 hours. Vincent's crew, Carlo's intelligence, a surgical strike against every Volkov operation in the city. At 8 p.m., with Sophia safely at her other grandmother's house, Vincent's forces moved. 6 locations, simultaneous hits, Volkov gambling dens, drug operations, money laundering fronts, warehouses full of stolen goods. All of it burned, busted, or confiscated in a coordinated assault that left the Russian organization in ruins. Vincent personally led the team to Alexei Volkov's headquarters, an abandoned factory the Russians used as their base. They breached at 9 p.m., met resistance, gunfire, smoke, chaos, but Vincent's crew was better trained, better equipped, better motivated. They pushed through room by room until they cornered Alexei in his office. The Russian boss was young, maybe 35, arrogant, still thought he could talk his way out. "Marconi, we can negotiate. I have money, connections. We can work together." Vincent put his gun to Alexei's head. "You threatened a widow and her child. Used them as leverage against one of my men. That's not business, that's cruelty. It's survival, same as you, same as everyone in this life." "No," Vincent said, "it's not the same. I have lines I don't cross. You cross every line because you think it makes you strong. It just makes you dangerous, and dangerous animals get put down." Alexei's face went pale. "Wait, please, I can." Vincent pulled the trigger. The Volkov organization collapsed within 72 hours. With their leader dead and their operations destroyed, the remaining members scattered, fled the city, went back to Russia, found new employers. The threat was eliminated. In the aftermath, Vincent sat in his office with Carlo. The warehouse was quiet, business returning to normal, crisis averted. "What happens to me now?" Carlo asked. Vincent had been thinking about that, about loyalty and betrayal, about lines and codes, about 7-year-old boys and the men who protected them. "You're out," Vincent said. "Out of the organization, out of the life. You go somewhere new, take Alina and Nico, start over." Carlo's face showed surprise. "You're not going to kill me." "I should, the code says I should, but the code also says protect families. You were protecting a family, just not the right one in the right way." Vincent leaned back. "Besides, killing you doesn't serve any purpose now. The Volkovs are gone. The threat's eliminated. You've paid your debt with intelligence that saved my organization. I don't understand. You will, someday, when Nico's older and makes a mistake trying to do the right thing. You'll understand that punishment isn't always justice." Vincent stood. "I'm setting you up in Denver, new identities, clean records, money to start fresh, legitimate business opportunities. You'll report to Paulo once a month for the first year. Make sure you're staying clean." Carlo's eyes filled with tears. "I don't deserve this." "No, you don't, but Nico does. Alina does. That old woman who risked everything to warn me deserves to see her family safe. This isn't for you, it's for them." Vincent walked to the door, paused. "You saved my life twice, Carlo, in 09 and 14. This makes us even. After this, we're strangers. You never contact me, never come back, never mention my name. We're done." "Vincent, don't. Just take your family and go. Be the father Nico needs, the husband Alina deserves, the man I thought you were before I found out you were better than that." Vincent left before Carlo could respond. Some conversations didn't need closure. They just needed to end. 3 weeks later, Vincent attended a soccer game. Nico's team. The boy had joined a league in Denver. Carlo and Alina sat in the stands watching. Normal family, normal life. Vincent watched from a distance, made sure they didn't see him, just checked. Verified they were settling in, staying safe, keeping quiet. Nico scored a goal, celebrated with his team. Ran to his parents who cheered and hugged him. Normal, good, right. Vincent left without making contact. Drove back to his city, his life, his responsibilities. At home, Sophia was waiting. She'd made dinner, spaghetti, slightly burned but made with love. "Nano, I cooked." She was so proud. Vincent pulled her into a hug, held her tight. This was why he did it, why he built, why he protected, why he made hard choices that kept him awake at night for moments like this, for children who could cook spaghetti without fear. "It smells delicious, Piccola." They ate together. She talked about school, about her friends, about normal, safe, good things. Vincent listened, grateful. 2 months later, Vincent received a letter, no return address, just a single page, Carlo's handwriting. Thank you for my life, thank you for my family. Thank you for showing me that monsters can choose to be men. I'll spend the rest of my days proving I deserved your mercy. C. Vincent burned the letter, scattered the ashes. Carlo was right about one thing. Monsters could choose to be men, but it required constant choice. Daily decision to be better than instinct, better than code, better than the easy violence that solved problems temporarily while creating worse ones. The old woman had warned him. His right-hand man had betrayed him. His silence in that moment, when he could have killed Carlo instantly, when he could have chosen rage over reason, that silence had been terrifying. For Carlo, for the Volkovs, for everyone who thought they understood Vincent Marconi, because his silence wasn't weakness. It was calculation, strategy, the pause before decision. And his decision had been mercy, conditional, complicated, but mercy nonetheless. Months turned into years. Vincent never heard from Carlo again. Good. That was how it should be. But occasionally, late at night, he'd think about that warehouse office, about the choice he'd made, about the 7-year-old boy who got to keep his father figure because Vincent chose differently than the code demanded. Years later, Vincent attended Sophia's high school graduation. She'd grown into a remarkable young woman, smart, kind, strong. After the ceremony, she hugged him. "Nano, I got accepted to college, criminal justice. I want to be a prosecutor." Vincent's chest tightened. "Why?" "Because you taught me that power should protect people. That strength means choosing the right thing even when it's hard. I want to do that, legally." She smiled. "You showed me that the scariest people can also be the kindest, that justice and mercy aren't opposites, that family means protecting people who need protecting." Vincent thought about Carlo, about Alina and Nico, about the old woman who'd risked everything to deliver a warning, about all the choices that led to this moment. "I'm proud of you," he said. "Whatever you do, be better than me." "I will be," Sophia promised, "because you taught me how." That evening, Vincent sat on his balcony overlooking the city. The same city he'd controlled for 4 decades. The same city where he'd made countless choices. Some good, some bad, most complicated. He thought about the old woman's warning, about Carlo's betrayal, about that moment of silence when everyone expected violence and he chose something else. That silence had been terrifying because it represented possibility. The possibility that Vincent Marconi wasn't just a mafia boss, wasn't just a killer and a criminal, but a man capable of growth, change, mercy. The possibility that monsters weren't born, they were made. And what was made could be unmade, one choice at a time. One moment of silence at a time. One decision to protect instead of punish. His phone buzzed. Unknown number, text message. Nuka graduated college, going to be a teacher. Alana's rumoried, happy. Grandmother's still sharp as ever. We're good, thank you. This is the last contact. Stay well. C. Vincent stared at that message for a long time, then deleted it. Carlo was right. This was the last contact. The circle was complete. A 7-year-old boy had become a teacher. A widow had found new love. An old woman had saved her family by warning a monster. And the monster had chosen to be a man. Vincent thought about all the people he'd killed, all the violence, all the darkness, all the choices that stained his hands red. But he also thought about Safa, about Nuka, about Alana and the grandmother, about Carlo living a good life in Denver, about all the small mercies that added up to something resembling redemption. He couldn't undo the past, couldn't erase the blood, couldn't become innocent again, but he could choose every day, every moment. Choose to be slightly better than yesterday. Choose protection over destruction. Choose to let mercy complicate simple solutions. Choose to be terrifying in his silence rather than his violence. The city lights glowed below, each one a life, each one a story. Each one a choice between darkness and light. Vincent Marconi had spent 40 years choosing darkness. Maybe the next 40 could be different, not good. He'd never be good, but different, better, more human. All because an old woman had warned him about betrayal, and in his silence, in that pause before he decided how to respond, he'd found something unexpected. The possibility of mercy, the courage to choose it, and the strength to live with that choice. That silence had been terrifying because it meant change, growth, evolution. The death of Vincent Marconi the monster and the birth of Vincent Marconi the man. Both existed now, both always would. The trick was choosing which one to be in each moment, and sometimes choosing to be the man meant letting the monster sleep. Vincent finished his drink, stood. Tomorrow, Safa was coming for dinner. She'd tell him about her college plans, her dreams, her vision of justice that included mercy. He'd listen, he'd learn, he'd try to be the grandfather she believed he was, the one worth admiring, worth following, worth loving. Because in the end, that old woman's warning hadn't just saved Vincent from Carlo's betrayal, it had saved him from himself, from becoming so hardened by code and violence that he lost the ability to choose differently. Her warning had given him information. His silence had given him time, and in that time he'd found a different path, not redemption. Not forgiveness, just different, better, more human. That was enough. That had to be enough. Because in a life measured in violence and hard choices, small mercies were the only thing separating monsters from men. And Vincent Marconi, for the first time in 40 years, was choosing to be a man. That choice, that silence before choosing, would echo through generations. Safa would become a prosecutor who believed in mercy. Nuka would become a teacher who understood second chances. Alana would find love again because someone chose not to punish her for her husband's mistakes. The old woman would spend her final years knowing her courage saved her family. And Carlo would live every day grateful for mercy he didn't deserve but received anyway. All of it because Vincent Marconi paused, thought, calculated, and chose differently than expected. His silence hadn't been weakness. It had been the most powerful choice he'd ever made. The choice to break his own code in service of something larger. The choice to let conscience complicate loyalty. The choice to be terrifying not through violence, but through the unexpected mercy that only truly powerful people can afford to give. That night Vincent slept better than he had in years. No nightmares, no ghosts, no regrets about the choice he'd made, just peace. The complicated, imperfect peace of a man who'd chosen mercy when violence would have been easier. And in that peace, Vincent Marconi discovered something surprising. Being a man was harder than being a monster, required more strength, more courage, more wisdom, but it was worth it. Worth the difficulty, worth the complexity, worth the choice. Because at the end of a long life measured in violence and power, the only thing that truly mattered was what you left behind. Vincent Marconi was leaving behind a granddaughter who believed in justice and mercy, a family in Denver living good lives, an old woman who'd been brave enough to warn a monster and wise enough to trust his silence, and a city slightly safer because one man chose to be better than his worst instincts. That was legacy. That was redemption. That was what happened when silence became terrifying not through threat, but through the promise of unexpected mercy. And in the quiet of that night, in the peace of that choice, Vincent Marconi finally understood what his daughter had meant years ago when she'd said, "Papa, the scariest thing about you isn't your violence. It's your potential for kindness, because no one expects it, and that makes it more powerful than any gun." She'd been right. His silence had been terrifying because it held the possibility of mercy. And mercy, when given by someone capable of violence, was the most transformative force in the world. One old woman's warning, one moment of silence, one choice to be different. That's all it took to change everything.